Apartment. Hey, it's Rob has a podcast, and now here's the guy who doesn't care how good of a pizza party it's going to be. I'm not licking anybody's armpit. I'm Rob Sisterine. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our weekly Big Brother Canada coverage. And we've got one hell of a show for you because we're joined by one of the great superstars of all North American Big Brother here today to talk about his thoughts on Big Brother Canada and much more. The great Johnny Mac.
Woo! It's gonna be sweet.
Yes.
What's up, Rob?
How you doing?
Good. I'm just here playing with batteries.
What are you doing with batteries? Is that like Big Brother PTSD, where it's like, Johnny, please put on your batteries?
Yeah, I just can't. I'm down to 2 good batteries, and I need 4 between the keyboard and the mouse, and I'm like putting them back and forth. I'm doing that dance, and it's not fun, and yeah. I feel like I'm missing my left arm. It's like not the worst thing that could happen, but it sucks.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk about batteries and much, much more with John here today. And then also talking about the live feeds, which are down for the count right now. Here is our good friend Alex Kidwell. Alex, how are you?
Hey, Rob, how's it doing? Yeah, no live feeds. I was thinking about just coming on and turning off all the lights and just sitting quietly in the dark, and that would be my accurate representation of what's going on right now from our standpoint. But, yeah, you know, we work with what we got, right?
Yeah, the feeds are down right now until we find out on Sunday night who is going back into the Big Brother house, whether it's Levita or Kelsey. We will find out Sunday night. And then, of course, we will have our exit interview with whoever does not go into the house. If you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, I spoke with Dallas this morning. You'll be able to hear that interview if you stick around for the end of this recap. So that's a tease, Johnny. Got to make sure that nobody's skipping ahead.
Ooh, yeah. Give them the excitement.
Hang in there. All right. So we're going to talk about everything, of course. We're going to take your comments and questions as well. Hashtag RHAP. Or you can also post them on our YouTube channel at robisawebsite.com/YouTube. All right. So, Johnny Mac, what else is going on in your world before we talk Big Brother Canada?
Well, I'm coming off the Big Brother 18 casting calls. Those were my first time ever going to any casting calls ever, and it was fun.
How is that? What do you do at an average casting call? Are you there just messing with people? Do you have like an official duty there?
Yeah, I think that is an official duty, just talking at people and stuff. And then some of them know who you are and some of them don't, and then it's fun. And some of them buy you drinks, and that's the best part. And it was a really fun time. Just asking people, how do you think it went? And some of them are like, oh, I don't think it went that good. And I'm like, no, that's not what you want me thinking. You want me thinking, oh, I killed it. But yeah, some people come out, they killed it.
Now, do you have any sort of say in what goes on at these casting calls? Like, let's say there's somebody that you think is great. Can you like tap somebody on the shoulder, like, hey, talk to this guy? I think I found something over here.
I could do that, and but probably wouldn't be had. I was like, no, Jack, get out of here. You don't know what you're doing. You're drunk. That's
you're right over your head. Is there a lot of drinking that goes on at the casting call?
For me, yeah. For Meg, yeah. And I saw Steve Moses at one, not so much for him, but yeah, some of the people getting warmed up. Just, you need one in your system just to loosen up a little bit for the camera or the people or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah. But, is the casting call at a bar?
It depends. 2 of them were at bars.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that they've been at like news stations in the past. The one in Scranton here was at our casino. That was pretty cool. I've never been to the casino here, but it was fun. So yeah, it depends, I guess, from place to place.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure there's some fun stories at these casting calls. I've never been to a Survivor casting call.
I've heard the Survivor ones get pretty epic. In Scranton, they do a Survivor one every year, and they were telling me they get like 700 people to show up every year for it.
Wow. Okay.
That crazy? For Scranton, it's just what?
We got to send somebody with a camera to one of these. I think that'd be very fun to go and see what goes on at one of these things. Okay, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about the latest in the BB Can Grand and what's going on. Johnny, do you get jealous at all that these Big Brother Canada contestants get to stay in a nice hotel like the BB Can Grand?
Yeah, I mean, their place was pretty sweet. I mean, we had that Under the Sea theme, and I don't know, that could suck after a while. You can't breathe underwater. It's ridiculous. But they're going gambling at a casino all summer. That's fun.
Yeah.
And they're getting drunk every
Like,
night.
Where's the Big Brother casting call?
Yeah, they're pretty much at a Big Brother casting call. They're not aware they're on the show yet.
All right, so this was a very interesting week, and I know at least from listening to the show that Jordan did, and Jordan did a great recap last night with Netta and Brent talking about what was going on, that there was really a lot of intrigue heading into this vote between Dallas and Maddie, and not all of it was necessarily covered on the show. So, John, here is Dallas out of the game. Do you have any sort of final thoughts on Dallas and the way that he played? Because he was somebody who really came into this game saying, like, I'm just going to really, play big, go big or go home. And inevitably on Big Brother, that does always seem to, one seems to always follow the other.
Yeah. Preseason, I thought, he looks like a personable guy, and then I did a draft with Bruno, McCray, and Spencer, and we each picked our people, so I picked him first, and then I start watching the show, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm messed up. He's playing so hard, and it's great to watch that. I love just watching him getting full of himself and winning vetoes and stuff. I'm like, this is awesome. These are like big fireworks right now, but you're not going to last that long. But it was great to watch. That was awesome.
Yeah. Alex, I was really impressed with the ovation that Dallas was getting when he came out of the house. I mean, he really came out almost like a conquering hero, beloved by Canada.
Yeah, well, it's interesting how kind of Dallas's, arc kind of changed from the beginning when he really was just total bull in a china shop towards the end where he really was kind of seen as an underdog. The moment that Maddie turns on him, I think that at the double eviction and the fake double eviction, and she really kind of does so against her own best interests. I think that really is kind of a moment where people feel sympathy for Dallas, and he begins to be painted as kind of a sympathetic figure where he wasn't before.
I think this has been a really great season of Big Brother Canada so far. But Alex, I'm just curious from your standpoint and from people watching the show online, who's the villain of this show?
It really varies depending on who you talk to.
Because I thought it was Dallas coming into this.
Yeah.
He got a big ovation coming out of the house. I don't know.
Changed.
Part of the problem is, like, A, the edit is all over the place, like, from week to week, and then B, you have episodes like last night, which, to be perfectly honest, like, I don't think I've ever seen an episode that varied more dramatically from the feeds in terms of the narrative that we got. So you've got many different perspectives on what's going on in the house, and you've got a lot of different people who are seeing a lot of different things, and so that's leading to a lot of different perspectives.
Because, John, I have to say that I've really enjoyed this season, and I feel like that, well, what makes a good reality TV season, what makes a good Big Brother season, I feel like, well, first off, you need a great villain, and I don't think that we really even have a villain in the house at this point.
Yeah, I thought that the villains at the beginning were like Jared, Kelsey, and Raul, like they're the power trip crew, and then they lost power, so now they're kind of back in their, you kind of like them again, I think... for me anymore, the villain becomes whoever's wearing the toque or the beanie. That's just from, I don't know, just from watching it. Like, when people, but like, I think it's valid. Like when I'm watching them talk in the diary room, it's like I don't trust what you're saying right now.
Shades of Vanessa.
No, I try to sit back and be objective. Like Levita, when she's playing so hard in the beginning, she always has the hat on. I'm like,
yeah.
No one can trust this girl. No one. And then Tim puts it on this week at some points, and I'm like, they gotta get him. He's being smart right now.
Well, I really want to hear you talk about Tim and what he's done because that he's a very unconventional player, and I think that you certainly were unconventional at times in Big Brother 17. And I've heard a lot of talk about Tim and what he's done, whether it's been good or bad. What did you think about the way that Tim approached this HOH in Week 5?
It might have been too good. Like, the savvy people like Mitch, and even Dallas isn't dumb. He knows that what Tim's trying to do here and why he, like, protested the whole thing. I think it was like too good, and it's gonna put a little bit of a target on his back because people are like, "Wow, he is here to play. He is trying to shift all the blame off of himself." Where if he just did something random, maybe without all the theatrics, he might have gotten away okay. I think Dan, his first season playing, did something kind of like this with like veto roulette or something.
Yeah, veto roulette. Power
Yeah,
veto roulette.
Yeah, it just reminded me of the same thing, like trying to expose other people's.
Yeah, I believe it replacement nominee roulette. Correct, Alex?
That is it. You got it.
I want to get the branding right on that.
Yeah.
Well, it really is interesting in terms of what he was doing, and I really like this because I kind of feel like that we all talk about on these podcasts and everything. All right, but this is exactly how you play the game. But if everybody did what we would say to do, it would make for a very boring season. So I like somebody coming in with some, throwing some new ideas into it, and I think that's what was going on with Tim and what he wants to do. And I actually really liked this idea because everybody came to him, but I was surprised that so many people were down on this week, Alex.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I think the first, where you have to start is, did Tim really need to win HOH? Is anyone coming after him? And I think overwhelmingly, the obvious answer is no. And that, we've talked about it some, or Terrence talked about it, and Brent's talked about it on other shows this week, that, if Tim was kind of seen as a bit removed from the game before this, as kind of like this, he's the wild card, and he keeps describing himself as the wild card, that gives you the sense that he's not really a full-fledged player. The moment he wins HOH and starts making decisions that impact the group, now you really take into account the fact that, wow, he's playing this game, and then the spectacle that he created, and I do agree with John that there is similarities to replacement nominee roulette that Dan pulled. While creating a spectacle, is a power move, and you talk about that in the laws of power. It's early in the game, and also I think like the average IQ of this house, maybe not average, but there's players in there like Mitch who are smarter than anyone Dan was playing against in Big Brother 10, and there are people in there who know what he was trying to do. Like, he didn't pull the wool over anyone's eyes to the degree that Dan was able to, where he got everyone to name each other publicly and they were all like, whoa, what's going on right now? So I think this didn't necessarily do a great job for Mitch in terms of, keeping him in a safe place going forward. I think Tim's biggest problem is that he just gets really bored in the house and he wants to just mix things up, and he really does embrace this idea of being a wild card, and he wants to play to a degree in a way that honors that. So that could impede his ability to win as much as anything, I think.
Now, Johnny, you were somebody who never got bored in the Big Brother house during your time there. But what do you think of Tim? Do you think that he is somebody who is a really great player of the game, or do you think that he's somebody who's just there to make good TV?
Can it be both? I mean, a good player to me is someone who's like gonna keep us entertained. They're gonna do it in style, and there's gonna be something extra there. If you just kind of go through the game, everything calculated out. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and you kind of do it with this like robot precision. It's impressive, but it's kind of boring to watch. Like this is I like the fireworks. I like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was also.
They don't just like put it down and fry it and say like, oh, how'd your day go? They're flipping it, they're throwing stuff at you, and that's what they gotta do.
Yeah, I thought that Taryn also made a good point earlier this week. I believe it was the Sunday night recap that he did with Jordan and The Shield, and he was talking about how they made the comparison between Tim and Dr. Will, and that how fundamentally they have a similar philosophy about how they're sort of like want to be seen as being above the game. But why that worked so well for Dr. Will was that he never was the HOH. He never was in that position where he had to be the person who is saying who goes up on the block. But Tim, for whatever reason, felt like this was a good spot for him to win the HOH. And then now, instead of being seen above the game, he's being seen as somebody who had an agenda and was somebody who was trying to enforce his will on the house of who he wanted to have go home. And ultimately, he did not get what he wanted. What do you think about that? Do you think that it was overall a bad idea for somebody like Tim, Johnny, to win the HOH?
Maybe right now, because no one was going after him. It just seems like he got caught up in the moment. He's like, I was bored. I wanted to win one. Like, he's gonna have to really work to get people to just forget about him again. Like, I think Joel did a really good job with his HOH. Like, no one even remembers he was HOH at this point. That's awesome. Like, Tim's done a lot of stuff now that, like, weren't destructive to whoever's still left in the game, but they've seen, like, okay, this is what he's capable of, and they're going to have a hard time forgetting that, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, though, about the HOHs, because I think that I used to advocate for the longest time, okay, don't win anything on Big Brother. But now I think in modern Big Brother, I think that you need to stand up there, and I think maybe it might have been especially once we got to maybe, post Rachel Riley era, I think, of Big Brother. I think that you want to stand up there, and it's like floaters get a life vest, and let me say, I won 6 competitions, I won 4 HOHs, I won 2 vetoes, and you have to say that you won stuff. John, do you think that maybe the right move is that you want to be HOHs, you want to have HOHs on your resume, but you want to sort of just take pieces out of the Jenga board without upsetting anything too much?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I'd say even before Rachel's time, you needed to win HOH, because Dr. Will tried it again to go through the whole season without winning HOH, and he lost. At some point in there when the veto was introduced, probably after the first season when everyone saw how you could play the game, socially like that, it became important to win stuff. And, yeah, you definitely do need to win some things. It's really tough to go through the whole game without winning a single thing.
Yeah. All right. So now we have this really interesting point in the game where we're going to have one of these people come back from the BB Grand secret suite. Now, Johnny, does it annoy you at all that you had 2 people who were out of the game who were sort of locked up together where they could not only watch the house but also trade each other's secrets for a period of a week?
I should be the least annoyed about people coming back with some kind of boasting.
Yeah, but you weren't for a week, sitting with everybody that was in the jury house.
Yeah.
I mean, you were out of the house for 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. But as far as Big Brother Canada goes, this twist, it's not really that bad. You think about Topaz being up in the HOH room and they broadcasted everything, or with the letters and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a real big advantage to come back into the game with that kind of stuff. Because I saw, and I haven't been watching the live feeds. I don't know how big of a deal they made of it, but they were exchanging notes on Mitch. That has some potential to do some damage to someone who's doing a very good job in there.
Yeah.
But it's Big Brother Canada, and he's got to be able to adapt to that.
Yeah. So, Alex, I want to talk a little bit about the fallout of the news for the House in terms of finding out what's going on. So I thought this was so interesting and so compelling last night where we cut to commercial, and we came back from commercial, and I said, okay, while we were in commercial, here's what was going on. Could you just take us through what was going on between Maddie and Cassandra and then what Tim's role was and all that?
Yeah, that was so great, right? So they're, kind of hit with this news, and they're, the fast discussion kind of in the moments after somebody wins HOH in a double eviction, right? You have to make a decision quickly. You have a commercial break to do it, so discussion's going to happen. But in this instance, they were all still had to stay in their seats. So just because of the nature of they're sitting next to each other and kind of their relationship, you get Cassandra and Maddie starting to talk about, if it's Levita, we have to work together to take her out. And it is really comical because the 2 of them are just so openly against each other in the game. And yeah, Tim is leaning over the balcony and just says, basically, Cassandra, what are you talking about? You guys are gonna work together? That's ridiculous. Just kind of blows up their spot. And I think he's, and Cassandra's his ally. I think really he's just doing it to more than anything, minimize the damage, because other people heard it. She's not being discreet. Everyone's in the room, and I think he's just trying to be oh, Cassandra, you clown. Just making it out to be that she's not in control of kind of her own decisions in the house a little bit, because that was a really bad look.
Okay, so you feel like it looked worse on Cassandra. I mean, I thought that was kind of looked really bad on Tim, that he just blew up somebody's spot in front of everybody. Is are you kidding me right now, Cassandra? What are you doing? Are you making an alliance right here, right now, in front of everybody? And everybody's yeah, I kind of heard that. I heard that. Really, it was really explosive that was all happening on the live show. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard to know exactly, right, because we don't have context. We didn't have feeds afterwards. It's hard to know exactly, what the context was there. But I mean, I just got the impression that, like, yeah, if Tim believes other people heard that, and everyone knows that him and Cassandra are basically a tight pair, which I mean has been the case over the last couple weeks, that they're always joined at the hip, then to me it's like a move to just like either distance himself from that discussion or just kind of like, oh, Cassandra, you're not taking this seriously. Like, this is a joke and you know it. You know what I mean? Like, really just downplay, like, stop talking strategy in front of their house, you idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was wacky. That was really wild, really wild. Now, so John, so one of these two women is going to be voted back into the House, but they have to do it by unanimous decision, and I don't know how they're going to do this. I mean, we had last season on Big Brother Canada 3 where it was Godfrey and Ashley and Sarah had to decide. Okay, they had to decide unanimously whose vote wasn't going to count, and they ended up picking poor Jordan and not letting his vote count. And that seemed like it took forever. Well, this is going to be like 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, or what are the rules to this? Because like, I thought it was bad enough like with the brothers twist. Like, what if they don't agree on a decision? What happens to them? Like, what happens to these people now? They have to come to a unanimous decision between people that really don't want to be on the same page at all. Like, it's clearly Jared and Raul want someone in, and everyone else probably wants Levita, I would guess. I don't see anyone else wanting Kelsey in that badly. Maybe just the lesser of two evils or something. I don't know, but.
Well, how do you see this shaping up, Alex? Because, I mean, certainly there are obvious people that want Kelsey back. You would think that Jared wants Kelsey back. You would think Raul wants Kelsey back. You would also think that there's a couple other pro-Kelsey people in the mix, Cassandra also being one of them. I don't know how many pro-Levita people there are still in the House other than maybe Joel. Who are the people that are really going to lobby for Levita to return?
I think lobby is the key point. You've got some people in there that would definitely prefer Levita in there. I think Joel is one of them. I think Ramsey is another. He really got along with Levita while she was in the House. The thing is, Joel, Ramsey, these are not guys that are about to put their game on the line and start arguing with the group. They're very kind of mild, passive guys, and they've played a mild, passive game. I don't see any reason for them to just kind of like, do a 180 and change their perception in the House to take a stand here. Maddie was kind of like, we saw at the end of the episode, even though Maddie was talking to Cassandra about how badly they need Levita out, Maddie was actually lobbying for Levita to come back in because she, I think, is that much more terrified about what Kelsey represents to her, and she feels like
bring her duck back.
Yeah, well, but she feels like Levita is an easier group target, whereas like if Kelsey comes back, Kelsey can work her way into an anti-Maddie majority, which is probably true. The thing is, yeah, I mean, the people who are going to be vocal about this decision are going to be obviously Cass, who really, really doesn't, who's vocal normally and really doesn't want Levita back and loves Kelsey. And then the brothers, who loved Kelsey and didn't have any love for Levita, Raul, Jared. I see it going Kelsey's way. Obviously, it could go the other way, but I feel like the loudest are going to rule the day, and the loudest seem to be more in the Kelsey side.
All right, Johnny Mac, as a viewer, who are you hoping comes back? Where Levita was pretty good television at times, Kelsey certainly has her appeal as well. What are you hoping for?
If Levita comes back, she's just kind of like on her own, so it kind of keeps the house separated more. Whereas if Kelsey comes back, you have the power threesome back again. It's probably going to turn into the rest of the house versus them in some form. That's probably what people want to see, just like a war just go down. So I think for TV, we're going to want to see Kelsey back.
Boy, I kind of feel like that for TV. Oh, well, I got a couple different feelings about this. I kind of feel like is there any chance, Alex, that we could see that Jared potentially voting against Kelsey returning to the house, a la Lisa and Eric back in Big Brother 3?
I don't think so. Just based on the little conversation we got at the end of the episode, it seemed like Jared was one of the people who was vocally telling Maddie she was kind of mistaken when Maddie was kind of making points about why Levita should come back. So I get the impression he's going to advocate for Kelsey. I think, somebody who's really been persuasive and really been dictating a lot of the decisions in the recent weeks is Mitch. And, you know, a lot of people make the point that, like, well, Mitch would probably want to see Levita back because he's tried to work his way into Kelsey's spot in Good with Jared and in Good with Raul. The thing is, does Mitch really want to blow up his own game by being so vocal about this decision? Because you got to remember, like, you're not just having one-on-one conversations with individuals anymore. Now you've got to, like, express your opinions to the entire group, and that probably shows more cards than you want to at this pre-jury stage of the game.
Yeah. Johnny, I feel like that for Mitch, who's somebody who I think has played a really great game throughout here for these first 5 weeks. Now, he's a little bit exposed between the people that got to see exactly what he was up to and really compare notes. But I feel like for him, it's a lot better if Levita comes back, because even if she tries to come back and blow up his spot, I think he can get away with, that's crazy, Levita. That's you know, nobody's really going to believe her too much about what she's saying. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, because she's just been all over the place the whole game, like changing things up the whole time, whereas Kelsey's been just kind of staying with her alliance the whole time. So I think she seems a little more trustworthy. If she said something that could blow his game up a lot more, like people probably question it a bit more than if Levita started saying something, you know? So yeah, definitely there's pros and cons for both of them coming back from Mitch.
Yeah. Now, Alex, what sort of incentive/penalty is there going to be for the players to make sure that they end up coming up with a name that they're going to have unanimous?
Yeah, it's a good question. I wish I knew. I mean, you know, Tim asked, and of course it's Tim, who's played Big Brother before and is not afraid of things like this. Like, as soon as she made that announcement, everyone's like, ooh, and then Tim's like, or what? Which was great if you caught that on the episode, because yeah, I mean, I guess they're just gonna have to sit there and they can't eat and they can't drink and go to the bathroom or whatever until they make a decision. Maybe they can go to the bathroom, but I mean,
awesome.
Yeah, I think it
some
is
sort
like
of Japanese game show where they can't go to the bathroom until they pick a unanimous person.
Well, I mean, you said 12 Angry Men, and it is like a jury has to make a decision, or they're gonna.
I don't remember that part.
Well, like I said, maybe they can go to the bathroom. I think I'm reaching here. But you're not going anywhere, and the game is at a standstill. You guys have to make a decision, and I assume that they'll be, like, usked along, because obviously we can't wait a week, and I don't think any of them want that anyway. So
I mean, what could they possibly do? So, like, could they do, like, with, like, the money in the pot, like just start, like, taking away, like, $1 a minute from the pot? Is that gonna make people ultimately change their mind at all? Johnny, you're saying no.
No, it's only $100,000. Then you got people in there like Tim who probably don't even care about the money at all. So, like, that's not going to motivate everyone in there for sure.
Yeah.
I really would hope for a punishment where, you know, if they absolutely can't decide, it's like, all right, they're both going in. Like, screw you guys. Because I think that's probably the worst case scenario if you're a player in the house. Like, dude, that's like 2 weeks of this game undone. You know what I mean? So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, so we'll see ultimately what's going to happen next with there. So we also have to have a new HOH, and then ultimately 2 more people are going to go up on the block. You know, in addition to somebody coming back in. So, Alex, who do you feel like coming out of this past week is in the most jeopardy to go home now?
I mean, it really will depend on who wins. Obviously, Maddie has made a lot of enemies, and she even, you know, to save herself, publicly declared herself that, you know, I'm coming after the people who don't vote to save me, and that ends up being, Joel, Cassandra, and the brothers. So I think if any of those 3 win, like, it only makes sense to go after Maddie. If Maddie wins, you could see those 3 on the block. Beyond that, I think it just kind of, you know, it may extend from there. I think, you know, Jared and Raul are closer to the brothers and Cassandra than they are, like, Ramsey and Maddie, and, like, Ramsey and Joel and Maddie are kind of closer by association. Even though Joel wasn't in with them, he was kind of clinging with Dallas after Levita was gone, and now Joel is kind of left alone. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Joel, if Mitch tries to pick him up because he's kind of on an island, or if he just gravitates towards the people that used to be close with the people he was close to. I don't know. And if Levita comes back in, obviously that could create a link between Joel and Ramsey.
Johnny, let's talk about some of the other people in the house that we haven't talked about too much. Now, you played memorably with Liz and Julia, who were 2 twins playing as individuals. They were playing as one person for a while, but only one at a time. But here we have Nick and Phil, who are playing as one person, even though they're both in the house. Have you enjoyed the brothers so far this season?
I love Nick and Phil. Oh my God, they're doing it so well. They're fun to be around, and I think they're in a really good spot. Unless you just said, Alex, with Maddie being mad at them, but that I don't know about. And like, I'm not really sure about what went down with Maddie and Nick because like I don't watch the feeds. I'm sure there was more to it than what was shown on the show, where they like separated spontaneously there. But I feel like they're just likable enough. They were doing something similar to Tim. I mean, they're just being likable and getting by. No one has any motive to put them up. And they're doing better than Mitch, that like no one is distrusting them at this point. And I think they're playing very well. I think they're playing even better than Mitch at this point.
Yeah, Alex, what's the upside for the brothers? Do you feel like that they could go all the way? I mean, is there any scenario that you could see where, we're getting to like the final 5 and people aren't taking them out?
I think it's unlikely just because at a point it just starts to kind of hit you in the face that like, if you're down to 5 and one player is 2, it's just kind of like it smacks you in the face. You know what I mean? Like, and one thing that wasn't talked about on the show but was made clear on the feeds is that the house guests were let know like they will play as a duo till the end. They're not splitting up at any point. That's not something the house guests have to worry about. So, that knowledge helps them. The fact that that's out there really helps them. But at the same time, like, just their presence, obviously, it's a bit of a disadvantage in that they have to play together because they don't seem to be the same person at all. They're very different people, and I think that's why they went with these brothers in particular. Phil wants to control everything, and then when things go wrong, blame it on Nick, which is hysterical. And Nick is like really passive to Phil's face, but then is like silently seething about the fact that he doesn't get to do anything, and all his conversations are undermined. So it's an interesting dynamic between two players that have to share a vote. But it is really an advantage because they really can work twice as much of the house at a given time. They can be in 2 different places at once, hearing 2 different conversations. So, the upside is high, but I just can't imagine anyone letting them get past like 5 or 4. I mean, it just smacks you in the face.
Yeah, Johnny, if they were in the final, final 2, I never have the right word for this for Big Brother, the finals. I mean, How would that work? I mean, like, would they take turns giving a speech? Or even if they were on the block, I don't know how that would work in, like, eviction night in terms of, like, do they both get to speak for 15 seconds or what? But do you think that the House would look at it as an advantage or a disadvantage for them?
They probably see it as an advantage. I mean, everyone's starting to wisen up a little bit now, like, and they can tell, like, oh, well, they have all these extra connections that we don't have, and they could be in 2 different places at one time. They'd have to definitely argue that, like, somehow we deserve it over this one person who did it themselves. I think that would be, once they're trying to vote, get that winning vote, they have to argue that point down, and that's going to be tough. But hopefully they're just both so likable that if they got to that point, I feel that's how jury votes go down. You vote for who you like first, and then if you're like, oh, I don't like either of these people, then you're like, all right, now I have to pick who played the better game.
Okay. Now, what has been your reaction to Nikki this season, Johnny? That I saw John Party on the Sideshow said that he's rooting for Nikki to win the season.
I don't know if she can win the season. She might get there. She might get to the end, but I don't know if she can win. She's hilarious and she's smoking hot and she's awesome. I'm glad she's not there, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is starting to be a big thing, and I kind of feel like that when you're in the Big Brother house, I mean, how aware are you of, say, like the Victoria factor, where it's like you're looking at somebody and saying, okay, that with all, and with, all due respect to Liz, who I don't think is exactly the same, where when you're looking at it in terms of, somebody who's there, that person's definitely going to the finals, like everybody is starting to know it. I mean, how dangerous is that person, and how much are you aware of what's going on?
It's really dangerous, especially like around, just from my personal experience, I don't know if it's like this every time, like around 8 or 9, you start thinking about these people who aren't going to win any challenges, and what do you do with them? They're going to be easy people to bring to the end, and then at the same time, if you make an alliance with them, no one's going to try to get them out. They're going to try to get you out. So they're a problem for you getting to the end. It's nice to have them at the end there for you, but at the same time, it's like, if they stick around too long, I'm the threat, and they're just going to coast by, and I'm going to be the one going out to jury. So it's a tough situation to handle them, especially if there's a couple of them.
Yeah. And Alex, have we seen anybody in the house really just, put their arm around Nikki and say, "Hey, Nikki, this is our final two unbreakable deal," like a Derek and a Victoria?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, for a large part of the game, it really was Tim who was keeping her close. And, it really, from the beginning, Nikki was saying kind of like, well, I'm just going to do what you do. She's obviously very passive about the strategic elements of the game. This is not something she's used to or dealt with before, and she's in there to be a character. So when it comes to stuff like that, she is definitely out of her element. And the fact that, the show kind of depicted last night that Ramsey was the swing vote, but it really was Nikki who was the swing vote. And that made for an incredibly frustrating few conversations for people like obviously Dallas went home because he wasn't able to convince a player to do what he believed was logical. She's making decisions based on personal and emotional reasoning. And, so lately she's been kind of having rifts with Cassandra, which has driven her a bit away from Tim. And the person who's perceptive, the person who's really picked up on this, and the person who seems to be best at speaking her language in terms of, I studied this in school. I looked it up to be sure. It's called the transactional model of communication, Rob. And this is big in Big Brother.
Okay.
I mean, it's all about, exchange information in terms of currency in the house, right? So you've got a message, which is what you're trying to deliver to people, but then you've also got the channel, which is like my mouth, which is how the message is going to be delivered. And the message is going to be delivered differently depending on which mouth it's coming from. And it's all about speaking to someone in a way that it's going to be received properly, And Mitch seems to be someone who lately has realized how to speak a language that is received by Nikki the way he intends for it to be received.
Okay. Johnny, you get all that?
There are a lot of big words there, and it makes me a little wary of you, but no. Was that all on the feeds? Because that I wasn't sure about. I had no idea Mitch was pulling this stuff.
Well, it basically happened yesterday morning, and it kind of, the vote was up in the air, and it seemed like Nikki was going to be willing to keep Dallas in the house, but it really was Mitch kind of working her and convincing her that Dallas was a jerk and a bully and was kind of a horrible poison in the house that really spoke to her more than anyone else. So it's that emotional pull.
Yeah.
All right, so we've all been pretty high on Mitch. Johnny, what's been your read on Mitch through 5 weeks? He had a sad birthday this week.
Yeah, that was upsetting, right? Everyone has that lonely feeling time in there, and he finally had it at day whatever this is. He made it a pretty long time without breaking down. But he's been playing well up to this point. It's going to be tough going on now. He might be getting into a situation where people are realizing what he's doing, especially with this advantage that either Levita or Kelsey has coming back in.
Is he doing too much, though? Do you feel like is this the kind of thing where, one of the things that I felt like really worked effectively for you was, and I always tell people, and you did a very good job of this, I say go into the Big Brother house, go to sleep for the first month. Like, don't let anybody, don't worry about anything. Just stay off the block and don't get voted out, and then start to make your move. And whereas Mitch has really, even like Levita and Kelsey are saying, like, boy, he's the guy who's really behind the scenes. Is he peaking too early, do you think?
It could be, yeah, and that's kind of what Vanessa did. I mean, everyone saw, she was making a lot of moves there. I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, The advantage of playing early is that you can pick who you want to go to the end with you. It's just it might be a little bit harder to get to the end when people start realizing what you're doing. Like, you could get smart people out really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you do what I did and you go to sleep for the first part of it, I mean, we did get a lot of smart people out. They took each other out, but there was still one left, and then she was hard to play with the rest of the game. So, I don't know if one strategy is better than the other one, They both seem to have, pros and cons.
Yeah. Now, this week on the Big Brother Canada, I thought we had a pretty wild game of Truth or Dare that went on in the house. John, I feel like that the Big Brother Canada house has more crazy stuff going on than in the Big Brother US. Is that a fair thing to say, that the Big Brother the Canada contestants are more or less shy than Big Brother US contestants?
They're drunk all the time, Right? When you drink, fun stuff happens. Right? That's gotta be part of the solution here. Just more booze. More booze, tequila. Woo, tequila, yeah, that kind of stuff, you know?
I thought that was a pretty wild moment when Nick got dared to put all of the ice cubes down his pants.
Yeah,
and then here comes Nikki, and then what's going on there?
Wait, what happened with Nikki?
Well, that she came in to supervise the distribution of the ice into the underwear.
Curious. She's curious.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she took a little look there, huh?
Well, she did more than take a look. That she basically was like the straw that stirs the drink with these ice cubes. I thought that Nick had a great line too. He's like, "Not now, Nick. The wrong time."
Margaritas, huh?
That was great.
That's why I didn't see that on the show, or maybe I missed it quickly there. But I thought that they were creative. They were playing basketball and stuff, or like beer pong. He's like catching them, or like. You get that board in there, so I'm glad they had that much fun with it. That was awesome.
I did think there's also a lot of abuse of women's hygiene products going on in the Big Brother Canada house, Alex. That seems wasteful.
Yeah. I mean, well, you've got Tim and Nikki in there, you know, and this is what happens when you've got people who are told they're wild cards and inserted later, and then B have done this before and are like emboldened to kind of be more open and ridiculous in the Big Brother house because it's not new for them the way it is for everybody else, you know?
And before we get to the questions, I thought we had some really interesting things from the live eviction show last night. First off, I thought we had some really stellar speeches, John. What did you think about, Maddie stood up and was like, all right, let me just tell you right now, Dallas is a huge liar, and he's lying to everybody. He's telling you, he's coming after you, coming and telling you. And even Dallas, I thought, was defiant in his speech last night. Do you feel like that, are we moving towards a point in Big Brother where these speeches are going to be more about a person trying to make a play and less about, hey, I just want to say real quick to my boo back at home, I just want to say happy birthday to my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Wallace, how you doing? Looking forward to seeing you soon. Isn't this exciting?
Yeah, I hate watching shoutouts. It's so boring because, as a viewer, you're like, I don't know who this person is you're talking to. Like, great, you're having your moment, but I don't really care. I also hate the ones like, vote for what's best for your game. I want to play. It's like, no one cares that you want to play. That's why they're voting you out. It should be like your raw emotion, like, God, I hate this. This is why I'm so angry right now and I'm livid, or at least make it some form of entertaining. Like, you're not going to change anyone's vote in that speech, I get that, but, make it good.
Yeah.
This is live TV. It should not be boring. Someone's life in this game is about to end, and you're yelling at your dog or you're just trying to be nice. No.
Yeah.
Lame.
Okay, 2 things, Alex. Now, does that come up more when it's a swing vote where it's going to be a 5-3 vote ultimately, or they're expecting it to be a 4-4 vote? So is that more likely to happen because it's a close vote? And how much of this do we have to thank Godfrey for?
Yeah, no, I think the Godfrey factor is a factor, and I think it speaks more to just Dallas and Maddie's personas. They're both very brash people who have already told other house guests they hate them. So that's not good in a game like this, but that's something you're doing. So obviously you have no problem speaking from the heart. I think I think John made a good point. Unlikely it's unlikely, if not impossible, to change somebody's mind at that point. But what you can do with a great speech there is what Godfrey did, which is he had already, made sure that ensured the legwork was done for the blindside to happen that he needed to happen. And then with his speech, he reinforced that they were making the correct decision. If you do this, I'm all after Zach. It's his blood I'm coming after. And that was the premise for which he had already established why they should save him. So everyone who was going into it and was a little nervous, like, oh, God, I'm about to make a blindside move, just heard something that made them go, oh, right, yeah, that's why I'm doing this. This needs to happen. Perfect. So that's when it works. That's what you need to do with it, I think.
I'll give a shout out to Frank in the chat room who mentioned Godfrey, and then Jordan and Netta, they had talked about it also last night with Brent on the recap. Just one other thing. So Cassandra, she had to vote last night, and she had to vote. She wanted to vote to evict Maddie, but she feigned, I believe, that she could not remember her name, and she called her Blondie. Okay, first off, Alex. Is this bullying?
I'm gonna go ahead and disavow that. Rob.
Okay, disavow. But do you buy that? Was she just throwing shade? Did you feel like that she was, for whatever reason, couldn't remember Maddie's name?
No, it's really funny because you have people who like I know people who watch the feeds regularly who thought she genuinely couldn't remember Maddie's name, and I know other people who watch the feeds regularly who thought it was just great acting. So it was one of those like Andy Kaufman moments almost, where it's like I love Cassandra for that reason. Like I don't think she's a comedic genius necessarily, but she's very funny in her own way, and that was one of those moments where it's just like I do believe it was just like catty ratcheted up to 11, but that's Cassandra, and she knows, like, she is one of these kind of like, she's playing a heel and she knows it, and I enjoy that personally. So
yeah. Also, on the 90-minute episode, I'm not sure why we needed like the 5-minute end-of-season montage after 5 weeks. Alex, I know we're trying to stretch out these 90-minute episodes, but I thought that was a bit much last night.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a lot that went on strategically over the week, and I mean, if you really wanted to show all the back and forth and the, like, prying Nikki for her vote and the, Mitch, like, really getting his hands in there, and then Tim saying something about not trusting Mitch, and then Mitch confronting Tim, there was so much that we could get into, but that's not the way they chose to use their 90 minutes. So I heard 90 minutes, and I'm like, oh, good, yeah, I see why it would be a 90-minute episode, and then we got literally none of the reasons that made me think this deserved 90 minutes. Instead, we got to hear from families, and we got speeches and stuff, and I don't know. There was like, and we heard from like Maddie's family, and then Levita's family, and then Maddie's family again about the duck. I'm like, is this the Ducks family now? Like, I don't even know what we're doing anymore. Like, oh, man.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you want to talk about that just to set the record straight? I know you said it was such a a different week than what we saw on TV. Is there anything that you want to make sure that we know that's important for us moving forward?
Oh, man, it's just really hard to just kind of pinpoint a single conversation when there was just so much that kind of happened. I think the interesting thing, really, the takeaway is that whether or not it's because this is a group that has kind of like a generally lower knowledge of the game, or, whatever the case may be, this is, several weeks now in a row where the vote has been really down to the wire, and you've even seen people be convinced that they're in the majority and vote the wrong way. Cassandra, the brothers, and Joel exposed themselves this week with their vote, and, they definitely thought they were voting with the majority. Mitch convinced Nikki not to tell even Tim that she was going to vote out Dallas until the last moment. So it really does kind of open the door to a situation where, I mean, I don't know if lines will be drawn per se, but, Mitch and Tim certainly need and, do recognize each other as threats at this point. Whether or not they're going to gun for each other right away or try to, like, shove people in front of themselves, it remains to be seen. But it's interesting, and it's definitely, it's starting to diverge from what I'm seeing on the show a bit.
Okay. All right. We want to start to get into some of these questions. Of course, we have the great Johnny Mac here with us. So send your questions in hashtag RHAP, and then also on our YouTube channel at robhasawebsite.com/YouTube. All right. Let's start off with Real BG Low, who wants to know, could Johnny Mac compare the Amazing Racers coming into the house to the international house guests coming in to this season? All right. Did you look at Jeff and Jackie as international wild cards, considering they've traveled all around the world?
Yeah, international wild cards. I mean, I don't watch a lot of Amazing Race, but I happened to see their season, and I knew, like, they went out mid-race.
Right.
So I was like, well, cool that they're here. I wasn't even sure they were going to stay the whole time. I thought they were just here for a week for a takeover, and that's it.
We did not understand that. I remember, like, there was a tease. I feel like we knew 2 more people were coming into the house, and there was like a rumor that it's going to be it's going to be Amazing Race people, and it was like, this is just this is a prank. Like, what? It makes no sense. These Jeff and Jackie going into the house, and boy, it was a surprise to us.
Yeah, I mean, again, Jeff was great live feeds and everything, and Jackie's hot, and she was there to play, but No, these are like two people that are like iconic in their countries, and I think that's a little. It would probably be, I don't know what an equivalent would be for our country. Maybe like Richard Hatch or Dr. Will, like the original people coming back to like bring it again. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So let's take another question. All right. So this is from SHM1984. On a scale of Godfrey to Victoria, how persuasive were Levita and Kelsey's speeches? Why not promise the remaining house guests to clean the house if they get back? Well, that didn't work for Christine. I'm not sure necessarily that's going to work for them. I actually liked the speeches from last night. I thought they were both pretty good. Alex, what did you think about the speeches?
No, I thought they were terrible. I thought Levita saying, like, me and Kelsey are friends now. And like we're on the same page. Like, what are you doing? You're trying to establish a reason why you and not her. You're trying to create a difference in people's minds so that they know why you and not Kelsey. And all you're doing is saying like we've become the same person, guys. Isn't that great? Like, and then like just on top of it all, like it just really like that's a moment that you have 1 minute. And I think if you can't be persuasive in that moment, at least leave a lasting impression. Like pull a Will Sims and say, like, I'm gonna bring in sandwiches when I get back in there. Just
that was your lasting impression of Will Sims?
Do something that will stick in the minds of people in a positive way or in a comical way, because what they said to me just melded together, and I was just like, all right, Kelsey and Levita have worked out their differences. You know what I mean? I didn't take anything away from them individually. I came away from that wanting to campaign for the duck to go back in the house.
No, I thought it was a win for Levita because I thought she was like, I've changed as a person. So it's like if you're afraid of Kelsey coming into that, because again, she like her whole narrative is that no, I've changed now, I've mellowed out, and now I've even made friends with Kelsey. So she can't come in and kill Kelsey. You know, if anything, that they should have been able to do speeches in private that they were able to play to the house. Like, oh, look, I've been pretending all week to be nice to Kelsey, but boy, she is a real, still a pain in the you know what. But so she's like, I'm different. I love Kelsey, and that you know that I think that if they were sort of worried about, okay, well, if you're worried Kelsey's going to come back and get back together with Jared and Raul, then I'm the safe person to bring back into the house because I'm not going to bother anybody when I come back. So I thought that it was for Levita, it was a win, and I thought that Kelsey had a little something also. So I kind of like the speeches because you don't want to come in and be like, hey, I'm going to come in and I'm going to kick ass and I'm going to take names, because I think you want to vote for the person who's going to do the least amount of damage. And I keep saying this line that Steven said on the know-it-alls, but the greatest strength is the perceived weakness. Johnny, don't you want to vote in the person who's going to be the weakest person back into the house?
Yeah, like basically someone who's lost all their drive, like pretty much says to you, yeah, I'm fixed now. I went Bob Barker route, and I've lost every sort of drive I have. I'm done.
Alex, it's not Canada voting, it's the people that are in the house.
I know. I just felt like Levita, you know, I didn't think she was received the way she wanted to be received. And I don't wonder if, like, I totally agree with what you're saying, but I just think the strategy is more to just lay down as opposed to, like, present yourself as a different person 7 days later. You know what I mean? I think that was the problem. Is that everyone's like, she hasn't changed. It's been 7 days. What is she talking about? She's a new person. Instead, what you need to do is, like, kind of lay down and just be like, look, guys, you voted me out once. I know you're going to do it again. I just want to have some fun. I want to come back in the house, and I want to, like, you know, play these competitions. You know what I mean? Just focus on everything but the strategy. Talk about why you're going to be no threat to anybody like you talked about, but I don't think you want to sell yourself as something other than what people have come to know you as after living with you for a month, because they're not buying it.
But they hate what they know her as. So
that's a fair point.
It's like, you know how you guys all don't like me? Well, I'm not that person anymore. I'm totally different.
Well, yeah, and then maybe she just can't win because, right, then they're saying, like, she's still crazy Levita, and you got that line from Cassandra where she said she was fluid. I guess she's got a thesaurus in that suite, like, which I thought was a great line. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The pink room is a room of indoctrination. You come out different than you go in. You're changed, man.
John Clark wants to know, why does every episode of BB Can begin with Arissa saying, all right, Canada, we are about to drop a massive bombshell on the house guests with the tense music in the background? I don't know, do you feel, is there too much of Arissa promising fireworks?
Possibly, yeah, and then they're just kind of like, oh, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, there's only like 3 or 4 different Big Brother Canada music cues. You know, they have like when they read the HOH letter, they have like one specific cue for that. I'm sure the Big Brother US is pretty much the same, but I do that, you know, it's very comforting, very familiar, the 4 or 5 music cues they have on Big Brother Canada.
Yeah. The thing I love about Big Brother Canada is that there's just no week where they're not going to mess with the situation. You're guaranteed there's going to be a twist. I think maybe it's just that it kind of loses its shock value when you do it every week for 4 seasons. Yeah. You're just like, okay, here it is. All right.
Alex, didn't you think it was kind of mean to Dallas to sort of like have like like, oh wait, oh Dallas, what's happening right now? Oh, something is going on. Remember last week in the house when we had that double eviction? He's like, yeah. Well, one of those 2 women that got fake double evicted is going back into the house. And this has absolutely nothing to do with you. We're just telling you about it so you can now. It's like, oh, okay.
Can I leave now? Yeah.
He's like, oh, am I going back in the house? Haha. No.
It's horrible. Yeah, it's just horrible. Yeah, right. And the worst part is you get the sense Dallas wants to be there more than either of the 2 girls with a real shot to go back in. Because Dallas really seemed to love to play this guy. Granted, he was kind of a bull in a china shop while he was in there, but he really had a kick out of it. And yeah, it's a shame. You know, he's gonna have to, I don't know, go do something else. He looked like he was ready for an audition of Treasure Island.
Yeah, that wasn't a weird look for Big DZ, Johnny Mac. He had like a hot pink shirt on. I thought that was kind of weird.
Little unexpected, you know. You're used to him in the tank top and tattoos out and everything, and it goes well with the hat and the beard. Yeah, there's a little change up there, and you know what? Sometimes it's good to throw a little change in the wardrobe there. I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really mean. I totally feel for Long John Dallas. That was horrible.
Yeah. All right. So here is a question from Game Time Fitness. Wants to know: does Dallas know how to speak English and not use puns and slang every other sentence? Alex, did you think this was a problem for Big DZ?
You know, I get the impression that Dallas is a big old school wrestling guy, don't you, Rob? He's doing some of the Ric Flair strut in the diary room, and he's ripping his shirt and saying, "I don't like the block, brother," you know, which is obviously a Hulk Hogan thing. Like the flair comes from probably an only childhood of watching a lot of wrestling with a lot of imagination. I can relate to this. I'm gonna give him a pass on this.
Yeah. Also, was it Cassandra who said say hi to your mama? Or is that what she said to Dallas in her goodbye video?
Yeah, like I think it was.
Like, was that like a Mark Wahlberg type thing? Like, it was sort of like say hi to your mother for me?
I don't know if it was quite that spiteful.
Okay.
I mean, but you never know with Cassandra. I mean, I wouldn't put it past her. She certainly is capable of like delivering really spiteful lines in ways that you're like, oh, she was just being funny, isn't it?
I wasn't sure if that was a shot or not. Like, hey, say hi to your mother for me.
If it was, well, that's something we probably need to ask her in the exit interview, Rob. If that was, that's pretty fantastic.
Okay. All right. How about this question? All right. For Big Brother Canada All-Stars, who you got? Poppin' Paul Jackson, 604 Ginger Ninja, or Big DZ? Who you got, Alex?
Oh, if I had to pick one, this is tough. Personally, I guess I'd go Dallas. I think
it's Dallas.
I think he made it the furthest. People aren't going to like it because he's probably the least liked now in the hindsight. But he
got a huge
furthest.
ovation.
He won the most competitions of the 3, and he really demonstrated a desire to like go in there and play hard. And I think that's what they look for when they're casting like an All-Star season. So yeah, I think he's most likely.
Okay. I'm drunker than Moses says, why is Johnny Mac such a king? Well, you said Steve Moses was not drunk at the Big Brother casting call, so it's not hard to be drunker than Moses.
I'm such a king because I recruited my men, I conquered provinces, I drink mead, and I listen to the problems that are going on in the village. That's really all that you can do while sitting on the throne.
Wow.
Divine mandate.
Yeah.
It is that simple. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't expecting such a thought-out answer. Okay. Let's
Deep
take some
question.
more questions. Okay. This is from Bliss44 wants to know, could Tim have handled Nikki's jealousy better in an effort to make sure she voted out Dallas, even though he couldn't have known about the deal Nikki made with Mitch to backdoor Cass in exchange for her vote against Dallas the night before the eviction? Shouldn't Tim have been more focused on making Operation Get Nikki's Vote a nonstop priority rather than sleeping with Cass in the same bed in the HOH, thus fueling Nikki's anger even more? Yes, she was angry about it this morning. All right, Alex, let me just direct that question to you. So do you think that did Tim handle the Nikki vote situation well in your mind?
No, because he's beginning to lose what was once an ironclad grip on Nikki and her vote. So obviously it's not being handled properly. But it's easy to say that from the outside, you know? It's hard to maintain like a Derek-like control on a human being for 90-some days. You know what I mean? Even if that person doesn't seem to have a strategic design of their own like Nikki, I mean, she's still got thoughts and emotions and opinions, and she overreacted to something she didn't like, which was, you know, and also Tim being HOH, he's now kind of elevated to a position of decision-making power, and she wanted to use the bathtub, and Tim, like Cassandra, used the bathtub without really realizing what an impact it would play, and Nikki was very unhappy. She wanted to take a bath, and she didn't get to. And you've got to just, like, know the people you're in the house with, I guess, and know what's going to set them off. And the fact that Nikki was set off and Tim didn't catch it, you know, correctly, it's just, I guess, speaks to the fact that Tim isn't on top of, you know, his Nikki knowledge the way he needs to be.
Johnny, how do you account for all of these crazy things in the Big Brother house that you could never rationally account for, where it's like, oh, that, you know, Nikki wanted to go in the bathtub and she wasn't able to go in when she wanted to, and that's a reason why that she's not going to vote the way you want her to. Like, how do you even make sense of that when you're in the Big Brother house?
I don't know. We didn't have anyone like that I could think of my season like that was like. Overall, everyone was game focused. Like, no one was gonna vote someone out because they like burp too much or stuff like that, or like they're just an unpleasant house guest. So I don't really have a good answer for it. I do think Nikki and Victoria though are different people. Like, Nikki does like get upset about these emotional things and like how other people treat her, whereas Victoria was just kind of, she had her moments, but for the most part, she was just kind of above it all. She was just like, I don't really care about some of the things that go on in here. And I felt like she was much more emotionally distant than Nikki is. So, but yeah, as far as like handling someone like that, I have no experience really with that. I don't know.
All right. Edward Morris wants to, does Mitch get pushed out of his position if Kelsey comes in? What do you think, Alex?
Tough to say. I mean, Mitch is good enough that I think he's able to maintain a lot of the work he's done since. You know, him and Raul have a nice bond now on a level that I don't think would be broken up if Kelsey were to come back in. But, you know, Kelsey does certainly complicate things for Mitch's game, and I don't know that he would be thrilled about it. At the same time, you know, he does have other options. He can, you know, he can work inroads with Joel, who would now be alone. The brothers are kind of out there on a limb. Obviously, you know, Kelsey likes them, but, you know, they were kind of in trouble when Kelsey was in the house, and so they're not necessarily made any safer by her return. So there's options. There's people out there he could start to pick up if it seems like Kelsey is kind of taking that spot. I just think he's good enough that he wouldn't let himself be pushed out completely.
Johnny, do you think whoever comes back into the house this week will be granted a week of immunity from Big Brother Canada, where they cannot go back on the block?
Why not? They love doing stuff like that. Why not? I mean, that would just make things more crazy. If their goal is to not have someone kicked out immediately, obviously that's the solution to it. You can't kick them out.
Last season, did Cindy with an S get immunity for the week that she came back into the house?
Yes, because I think that was a big part of what kind of empowered her to make the move against Jordan is she was just like playing with house money, like I'm freewheeling, let's go, let's make a big move. Neha told me what's up, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Well, for whoever comes back into the house, Johnny, and I know that it's so weird for you because, you come out, you're only out there for, 15 minutes and you come back in. But how tempting is it to come back into the house and be like, F you, all you MFers, I'm back, bitches, and now you're all going down, because we've seen that a lot on Big Brother when people come back into the house, and you definitely were not that way when you returned to the house.
I felt a little bit those first 10 minutes I was, but that's because at the same time I almost had immunity. I knew Vanessa was not going to put me up in any way, shape, or form. So if you have a little immunity, it's a little easier to do that. It's very tempting to do it because all these people in one way or another, they got you out. Well, I mean, Big Brother Canada might be a little different this season because at least some people are not voting in unison. So you can have some people that you're not mad at. But it's kind of a relief, though, once you can get past, like maybe it lasts the first half an hour for me, I don't know. Once you get past that hurdle of being, like, I just want to rage, you're just like, I don't have to be nice to anyone in here anymore. I could lie to people. I don't have to feel bad. Like, some people are playing from the beginning like that. They don't care about lying and stuff. But, like, for me, I know there was a little bit of me that was like, I want to be loyal to some people. I want to keep others distant. But, like, when you're back, it's like, no, it's off. I can do whatever I want. I don't feel bad about it. I don't care who goes home. And that's kind of like, it gives you a new life in the game. You might start playing a little differently than you did the first time.
Yeah. Alex, I'm really talking myself into that. I think it's the best thing for Jared if Kelsey stays out of the house. I think that it's best for him for Levita to come in.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, Jared, the person who was gunning after him the hardest was Dallas, and the biggest reason anyone had to go after him was he was in a showmance. So Dallas is gone, and he's not in a showmance right now. That is good for him. If one of those two things comes back, then that gives people a reason to put them on the block together. And even if they're targeting Kelsey, if Kelsey wins veto, who's the target? Well, it's maybe Raul, but it's probably Jared.
Yeah, I mean, we've barely even spoken about Jared, and he's somebody who everybody has, mentioned as somebody who is probably the front runner in the game for a lot of this season. And now here he is. He's managed to get under the radar, Johnny, and I feel like that he's in this great spot. But I think once his showmance returns, I think that once again that he's going to they start looking at him and Raul and Kelsey as the three-headed monster.
Yeah, and that sucks because it takes a lot of work to get under the radar from out in front of everyone's just like gunning for you. And especially when you won that battle, you were the one out of the pair who didn't go. Now that pair is back, and like now it could be you, and you lost the whole battle in the end anyway, and it's just like having it ripped from you.
Yeah, and like the three-headed monster, it was really like Kelsey is probably the glue in that three-headed monster. Like it wasn't like, with, the Aust twins, where if you take Austin out, like, Liz and Julia are still a pair, where it's sort of like the, Jared and Raul, like they had like that one scene where Raul's like, so what do you think of these jeans? And Jared's like, I don't know, I guess they're good. like every conversation I've ever had with my wife, like there's no chemistry there, and so I felt like that they didn't seem as powerful of a pair. You're not really worried about. I'm not talking about the pants either, and you're not worried about the Jared Raul combination anymore.
I mean, you kind of like cut out the link there. Yeah, I guess it's like, they're gonna split up because. Yeah, I mean, you said it all. All right. I don't have anything good to add to that.
Okay, well, you played in a season where Steve was the winner. Now, we have Joel in this season where everybody said, oh, well, here comes, this is basically the new Steve, the new Ian. But I don't think that it's quite been exactly the same for Joel. What do you think of Joel and his chances in the game? We haven't talked about him at all.
He's definitely different than, I think, all three of them, even though, you want to compare them as nerds, and then nerds that are getting far in the game because they know the game so well, but I'd say all three of them are very different. Joel, won an HOH a lot sooner than the other two. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I know Steve waited until like jury to win one. Did Ian wait that long? Yeah, Joel just won one that early on and was fine with it. He's there to play a little differently than them. I think he's a little bit more aggressive, and maybe he's just like aggressive and back off a little bit. He's definitely not trying to play both sides of the house like Ian was. Yeah.
But I was more impressed with Joel early on. I think that Joel has really emerged, I think, as a very emotional person in the house. Do you think that Joel has what it takes, like an Ian or like a Steve, to ultimately be the winner of the season, or do you think that he's too caught up with the personal relationships?
No, I think he has what it takes to win. I mean, like Steve felt bad about things he did too, but he was able to separate. It's a game. I can still feel bad about it, but I'm gonna do it. And I think Joel's the same way in that respect. That yeah, he can probably. He's a fan of the show. Obviously, he can separate a game move from how he feels. He'll cry about it, but he'll be okay with it at the end of the day, I think. So.
He's gonna cry a lot. All right. Alex, also, with somebody coming back into the house this week, this is from Real BG Low, are we expecting a triple eviction sometime in the next couple of weeks?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard anything, but I wouldn't take it off the table.
Yeah. No, I think that Big Brother Canada likes to have something so every single one of these Thursdays. So it's like, all right, this week it's a special eviction. We're taking 2 people out of the house, but we're putting 1 back in. Come back next Thursday where we're going to vote 1 person out, but put 1 person back in. And then this week we're going to vote 3 people out. Like, they never want to have just a Thursday where it's just 1 person's voted out tonight and that's it. Show's over. They can't do it. Every week has to be something.
Yeah, well, you can truly expect the unexpected.
Unless it's the night after
with
the
consistency
premiere, right?
and regularity and everything that comes with it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Alex, any final thoughts about the week in Big Brother Canada?
Man, I wish I had some live feeds to watch this weekend. That would be fun, but with no live feeds.
Hold on, Alex. I mean, didn't they make a big fuss of like every year the live feeds go down for Easter? Not this year. We're not taking the live feeds away from you guys this year. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna do it next weekend. Don't tell anybody.
Man, they shoot themselves in the foot with stuff like that. You know, they obviously by offering a free service, they established that you get what you pay for. You can't demand any kind of exclusive all-the-time coverage if we're offering this for free. But the moment you start setting standards and saying look what we're doing this year that we didn't do last year, you create an expectation that you then don't deliver.
Right, but who cares? Are the ratings on Sunday night going to be through the roof because people are going to tune in to see? Oh my God, I gotta know. Was it Levita or was it Kelsey who came back?
Yeah, I don't understand the decision making. I don't agree with the decision making, but I'm not the one making the decisions.
Or is it they just think they need to turn the live feeds off for 1 weekend, and this is it?
I think they just believe this is going to be really riveting, compelling stuff, and they want to not have it out there. They want to be the one to present it to you first. They want the show to be something that everyone's tuning into because no one knows what's going to happen.
All right, well, Alex, I don't know if we can track Canadian ratings or if they come out like the U.S. ratings come out, but I want to see the ratings for this Sunday's show versus the previous Sunday's ratings and see if there's any difference whatsoever.
This would be a good thing to track.
Yeah, is the juice worth the squeeze? All right, John, any final thoughts for 5 weeks into Big Brother Canada?
First of all, have you ruled out that maybe it was just some intern messed up and he messed up their feeds machine?
He turned
that's
off
all
the
it
switch?
is?
You should not rule this out. This should not be ruled out.
Greg, man, you're fired. You dropped the ball on this one. We look really bad. We gotta get someone in here by Sunday. I think the thing I like about this season, and probably a lot of super fans hate me, but I hate it when us super fans are on the show. It's just we make it really boring.
Well, that's your thing. That's your thing. You always hate the super fans.
Yeah. But this season, when no one knows what they're doing, it's like you get to watch the whole evolution of the game over again. Like at the beginning, where they're all messing up to they're slowly wising up a little bit, and now they're starting to play. You get to watch it all come together instead of it all just being oh yeah, obvious play here, blah blah blah, and it just plays out unanimous votes all the way. I like it. I mean,
So
yeah,
what's the
maybe,
right balance? What's the right balance? How many, like, so let's say you have a Big Brother season, say 14 people are in the house. How many people do you want that are super fans?
probably 2.
2.
Me personally, if you're asking me personally, 2.
Okay, so no, I want to get the formula. So 2, you say 2 super fans, and then the other 14 people, I mean, how much Big Brother do you want them to have seen? Can they have seen a season?
I think, yeah. Well, like inevitably, all these people have seen at least a season. I'd say then you want to go with like how well they soak up that season. So maybe like 4 people that just really have no idea what they're doing there. That's awesome to watch. And then the rest of them, like anywhere in the middle, like some people that have never really seen it before, but they really got into it and they're like ready to go, like Devin or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they're ready to come in, play hard, and mess up, and like it's awesome to watch like that. And then you got some more that are like a little smarter. They might wait till the end there, and then they'll turn it on. You know?
Because they play too tight when they know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, there are members of this cast who didn't even get through 1 season in Sequester.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, Alex, what was going on this week that I saw that you and Brent and Taryn were all talking about? Was it Ramsey that said, "Oh, the people that watch the live feeds that they don't even watch the show"? What was the?
Yeah, Ramsey made a comment about, like, I don't understand why people even watch these live feeds. They're just going to get it on the show anyway. Like, implying that you can see an entire week of gameplay in 3 one-hour shows, especially when they're edited, you know, to show you that Ramsey was the swing vote when he wasn't. Like, Ramsey doesn't know what he's doing. And then he was also the guy that was like, "Hey, what's up, man? Who are you?" when Emmett was in there. So that was pretty great.
Yeah. All right. Well, great stuff. All right. We need a hashtag first for this conversation. John, do you have an idea for a hashtag for this podcast? Something that we talked about.
Dang.
It has to be a unanimous decision between you, Alex, and the chat room.
How about hashtag unanimous?
But nobody can spell it.
Oh no.
Yeah. Somebody else had a question in the chat earlier saying, like, why do they have so many condoms in the Big Brother Canada house? It looked like they had easily about, like, 12 boxes of condoms in the Big Brother Canada house.
No, it's, you know, if it's there, maybe they'll use them.
I don't know. How many, what do they need? I mean, what's going
Probably
on
not
there?
for that, though. You'll find other uses for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
balloons
what I'm
all
hoping for.
day, man.
Yeah.
Here's a little
All right.
doll with a reservoir. It does a nose.
All right. Well, the great Johnny Mac, thank you so much for joining. It is always a pleasure to hear from you on these shows. Of course, you could follow Johnny Mac on Twitter at RockstarDMD, right?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
So what else is going on? So now are you you're back at work, and now the countdown is on for the next Big Brother to come up?
Yeah, I'm back at work. I'm anxiously awaiting the next Big Brother along with everyone else. I'm trying to do the YouTube channel a bit there, but I've been sick for like the past month with like 2 different colds, so that's the reason why I haven't been cranking videos out, but it's something that I want to do, so I'm getting back to that as I'm getting my voice back and everything, and things are calming down. So.
Oh wait, real quick, tell me about Survivor. Who are you liking on Survivor 32?
It's been all over the place right now. I think the beauties, obviously, from that last episode, they're in a really good spot. I think Ty, out of all of them, having that idol there, he's just so much fun to watch. I love anytime he gets on and starts talking. He's hilarious. I like him, and his weird relationship, first with Caleb, now the basketball player. I just think that's fun to watch.
Yes.
I thought Ice Cream Guy. I forget the name, but I thought he was in a great spot, and now pulled out for an infection on his knee, and that sucks. I feel really bad for him.
Yeah, I think I know why that maybe you are karmically drawn to Ty. Here was Ty from this past week's episode when he was he was training his chicken. Oh, wait, hold on. He was training his chicken.
No.
Yeah.
Me and Ty, we gotta do a no remix.
So you might have a future in chicken training.
I'll try anything once.
Okay. All right. So for those of you guys who are listening to the audio version of the podcast, we're going to take a break and then come back, and then we're going to have my exit interview with Dallas, and then later next week we'll have the exit interview with whoever does not get back into the BB Can grant, whether it's Kelsey or Levita. That's going to be coming up next week on the podcast. If you're watching us here live, Amazing Race 28 recap. Maybe we'll see who's going to be the next international celebrities to walk into the Big Brother house this summer. Be sure to check that out live with me and Jessica Leeds tonight at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. John, are you watching the Amazing Race this season?
I haven't been keeping up on the Amazing Race. I'm sorry.
These are social media moguls on this season.
Yeah, right? The YouTube people, these are the people I should be learning from, right?
Yeah,
but
that's right.
I'll probably go back and watch it when it's done. A lot of times with Amazing Race, I do a binge watch.
Okay, do a binge watch. All right. Of course, you could follow Alex on Twitter as well, at Alex Kidwell. Jordan Parhar is going to be back on Sunday night and Wednesday again, I believe, this week, if he's not heading down to Reality Rally already by midweek. Of course, Reality TV Happy Hour on Reality TV Wrap Ups. We catch Jordan's show twice a week. All right, everybody, have a good one. Take care.